This video aims at illustrating the changes that occur at Kampung Gelam and the contradiction that exists for it being an area where a community flourished versus its historical roots as a royal citadel, comparing this to the current government manifestation of the site as a tourist attraction. Prior to the British administrators' arrival in 1819, Kampung Gelam was a fishing village located near the mouth of Singapore's Rochor River. Then, the villagers had depended on the gelam trees found in the area as a means of survival. Boat-making material was derived from its bark, while its leaves were used as medicinal oil and its fruits made into spice. The area soon underwent gradual development after the British government dedicated a large part of the area to Sultan Hussein, then ruler of Singapore. This was the result of a treaty signed between Sultan Hussein and the East India Company in 1823. In the treaty, it was agreed that a trading port could be set up in Singapore by the company, and in return, Sultan Hussein would build himself a palace in an area of his choice. Today, the history of Kampung Gelam is more commonly known as home to the Malay aristocracy rather than as its humbler version of a village. Stories of selected buildings and spaces linked to the royal family are emphasized, resulting in places such as the royal family's houses, the royal burial ground, and the Sultan's mosque being revived accordingly. An illusion of regal splendor it's purposefully created. Despite the continuous existence of the royal site in Kampung Gelam today, it is clear that the Malay Heritage Centre, Gedung Kuning, the Old Malay Cemetery, and the Sultan Mosque are but no more than a series of ruins, that is, the remains of something destroyed. Yet, these ruins are more than just wasted, leftover spaces from the past. While the four sites resist integration into a coherent master narrative, their continual presence also refuses closure, welcoming further exploration into their spaces. The display of the ruins' fragmented form thus not only suggests of its loss, but also hints of its former state of origin. This invites visitors of its space to embark on a journey to recover its lost pieces. By participating in the research for secret beyond the curious remains of the ruin, the visitors can then begin to reclaim both the ruin and its past, thus liberating it from destruction. The mysteries resultant from the gaps and discontinuities of the ruin thus act as a strategic element that ensures its continual existence. The Pondok Jawa. The Pondok Jawa used to exist near the Gedung Kuning and built around the same time. The Pondok Jawa served as a lodging house for newly arrived Javanese immigrants, many of whom were bachelors. The house was also a significant hub for Javanese culture. Performances of traditional wayang wong, wayang kulit, music and dances were held there regularly. It also functioned as the base of operations for Javanese food hawkers, famous for their satay, that used to sell the satay nearby. The house was then demolished in 2003 due to alleged termite infestations. This house was located along Sultan Gate, the main road that used to lead from the Istana to the sea. The only remnants of the glory of this road merely lies in its name. Physically, it pales in comparison to even a minor road located adjacent to it, like Kandahar Street. Changes to the royal compound. While the royal narrative is used to create a unified, albeit simplified version of Kampung Gelam, the physical devices such as the Malay Heritage Centre, Gedung Kuning, Sultan Mosque, and the Old Malay Cemetery used in the understanding of it have been very much separated and fragmented. Without the supplementary descriptions presented through tours and brochures, one can hardly trace the royal links that was once present in Kampung Gelam. To visitors who are new to the area, the Malay Heritage Centre presents itself simply as a modern museum. Gedung Kuning, a Malay restaurant, the cemetery an ordinary graveyard, and the Sultan Mosque just a place of worship. Moreover, division of land ownership also resulted in different treatment given to the four sites. While the Istana has been restored to its former royal glory and the Sultan Mosque has been given national recognition for its historical significance, Gedung Kuning is rented out as a retail space, while the cemetery is left to decay. These inconsistencies further prevent visitors from constructing a clear relationship of the royal grounds devices. In fact, all four sites have once been part of a larger royal compound. This compound was part of the treaty signed between the East India Company and Sultan Hussein. The site was much larger than it can be physically perceived today. It measured a total of 56 acres to the east of the European town and lying between Rochor River and the sea. Measuring in front along the beach road 731 feet wide, at the back of Chulia Kampong and along Rocho River about 1,200 feet, in depth from beach road to river to Rocho River about 2,100 feet. Today, the physical boundaries of the royal compound is reduced to the immediate perimeter of the Malay Heritage Centre, measuring an approximate area of 2 acres. Despite the continuous presence of the Malay Heritage Centre, Gedung Kuning, and the Old Malay Cemetery and the Sultan Mosque, these individual sites offer no clue of the possible relationships each of these locations might have had with the other in the past. Similar to an abandoned building, these sites alone cannot tell a story. Moreover, witness of past events, that is to say narrators and past occupants of the site, have long been absent. In this instance, the residents of both Istana and Gedung Kuning have been relocated to make way for the realization of the museum and the restaurants respectively. Generations of residents who have been living and working in Kampung Gelam were also resettled elsewhere in the 1980s to allow for a revamp of the area. Popular trades that were particular to Kampung Gelam such as diamond, textile trading, gravestones carving, and food peddling were also lost. Replacing these residents and traders are currently shop owners selling tourist-oriented souvenirs and exoticized Arab Malay cuisines. This change of occupancy prevents continuity of the site's historical narrative. At the same time, it facilitates the easy insertion of a new, fabricated storyline. Going back to the Pondok Jawa, the last remnant of the living community in Kampung Gelam could have been kept as a reminder of the original occupants of the area. Being an enriched community where various activities existed rather than being currently a mere reconstruction of the royal site.